Blessings, blessings, everybody. You guys, welcome in. I'm just going to be on here for a quick minute. I wanted to share with you all, and I pray that everyone is having a blessed day on today. I want to share with you all something. When God calls, when He calls, will you answer? When He calls, will you answer? Has He been calling you for a long time? Has He been calling you for years? Has He been calling you for decades? Has He been calling you, but you have chosen not to answer? God is a God of free will. God gives us the free will to choose or not to choose. So, we can choose to serve Him or serve whoever else you want to serve or whatever else you want to serve. But that's the good thing about God. But when He calls, will you answer? Will you answer? There's so many of us that choose not to answer, choose to answer to other gods or other things or other people. But then there's also those that choose to answer Him. They choose to answer His call. And when you answer His call, it's truly, truly, truly a life-changing experience. A life-changing experience. So I want to read the latter part of Isaiah 43:1. The latter part of Isaiah 43:1 to you all. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. It says, I have called you by your name. So God knows all of our names. But like I said, when He calls us, will we answer? When He calls, will you answer? When He calls your name, will you answer? Those that choose to call, that choose to answer when He calls, God is trying to do something different in your life, in our lives. When He calls, that means He's trying to do something new in our lives. He's trying to elevate us. He's trying to get us to the next level, to the next dimension. He's trying to move us up higher. Move us up higher. We can go along in life for so long thinking this is the life, this is the best life, this is the life for me, that this is all there is to life for me, that this is it. But when God calls, He's trying to tell you, no, this is not it, that it's not it. There's more to life, more to life. And when I call, I'm trying to show you. When I call you, that means I'm trying to show you that there's more to life. There is life. That's why it says redeemed. Redeemed means to regain possession, being saved from sin and its consequences, being redeemed. And God is trying to regain possession of our lives. He's trying to get us on the path that He has set for us. We each have a path to walk. All of us have a path to walk. But sometimes we choose our own paths and we walk our own way. We walk our own way instead of walking the way that God wants us to walk. Instead of walking the path that God has chosen for us, we choose to walk our own way. We choose to walk our own path. And even when God's calling us, we can still hear it. He's still calling us while we're walking on our own paths. And a lot of us know that because we feel different. When we try to blend in with the crowd, we can't. When we try to do things that others do, it still won't sit right or feel right with our spirit. So when we're walking our way, our own path, our own way, and God calls, after a while, it gets stronger and stronger, and you start to give in, and that's God's will. You start to give into God's will, and you answer His call. You answer His call, and so when you start to answer, when you answer God's call, things around you will change. Your circle will change. Family and friends may start to change as well. And they'll start to think that maybe you changed. But it's not the fact that we have changed or the person has changed. It's the fact that God is changing the person. God is changing the person. And so sometimes it's hard to understand why. It's hard to understand why. But when God has chosen or called them, He's trying to do something different in their life. It's all something, we all have our own path to walk in life. But when God sees us walking down a different path that's not what He wants for our life, and He answers and we answer His call, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's going to be a new path that you're walking. So things are going to feel different. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. It may even be lonely. But God is trying to walk you down the path to life more abundantly. Everything in life, there's a season to everything in life. Everything has an expiration date. Everything, even us, we're not going to be here forever. So everything has a season. And so God has us all in different seasons, and we're all on different paths. But when God calls, we need to answer because He's trying to elevate us. He is trying to elevate us. God calls us all at different times. And there are those, like I said, that will answer, and then there are those that won't answer. But when those that answer, you can't start to feel a certain way about them. You can't start to feel a certain way about them. You just need to try to understand it or just accept it. And if you don't understand it, just have to try to move on. And so when God calls, we need to let him do what he has to do. We need to just trust him, trust the process, and continue to seek after him so that we can listen to his instructions and his guidance for where he's trying to take us in life. And the more we seek, the more we'll understand him. The more we seek, the more we grow in him. And the more we grow in him, the more he is adding to us. The more wisdom we're getting, the more knowledge we're getting on where we're supposed to be, on the path that we're supposed to be on. And while we're on that path, we find our purpose in that path. We find our true purpose, our God-given purpose in that path that he's trying to call us to. So when God calls, will you answer? When he calls you, will you answer? Will you answer? When he calls you, will you answer? Because when he calls, it's going to be life-changing. And you got to be ready for the changes in life. You got to be ready for the changes in life. But just know that in the end, it will all work out for your good. Even though it may not feel good at the time. Even though you may not understand it at the time. Even though those around you may not understand it at the time. Trust the process and walk with God. Trust the process and walk with God. Because we are not man's. We are not man's. God owns us. We are God's. He's the one who created us. We are God's children. So if we choose to walk with him, let it be. Let it be okay. Just accept it and understand. Just accept what God allows and try to understand it. And if you can't accept it or understand it, that's okay. You can just move along and do what you have to do in life. Because like I say, we all have our own path to walk. We all have our own path to walk. So when God calls, will you answer? When he calls, will you answer? And no matter what the circumstances, no matter what people say about you or what people think or whatever the case may be, no matter what it is, if it's uncomfortable, if it makes you anxious, if it makes you weary, it's okay. Trust God. You have answered the call. So you know that if you've answered God's call, it's going to be good. It's going to turn out for your good. It's going to all be okay. It's going to all be okay. So I just wanted to share that short message with you all. Think about it. When God calls, will you answer? When God calls, will you answer? You guys continue to have a blessed rest of your day. And if it's God's will, we'll see you back. God bless.